monthly checks for the low income, and the good news on this topic. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. Just imagine ongoing monthly checks. That's exactly what everybody needs right now, in addition to a one-time lump sum payment. Well, in this video, I want to talk about the new information that is now circling around about ongoing monthly checks, specifically focused on the low income and what people are now saying with the current situation, what's going on, and how this is likely going to lead to ongoing monthly checks for the low income. So let's get into it and discuss all those details. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as I'm here for you each and every day as your one and only daily advocate, and I am very much dedicated to you and this community to continue to keep you updated by doing all this research and breaking it down into these short videos, which I deliver a couple times each and every day, so you can stay posted with what is happening as it pertains to money, benefits, checks, stimulus, raises to benefits, reform to programs, money, and so much more as far as everything that's going on right here, right now, during this very busy time as things are changing very, very rapidly. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, so you don't miss any videos going forward during this very busy time, and I'll continue to be here for you right by your side to help you out in any way that I possibly can, as that's my dedication, and I'm sticking to it. All right, thanks again. Let's get into it and talk about ongoing monthly checks for the low income, what is circling around out there right now, what are people actually saying about this, and how the current situation that we are in right here, right now, could potentially lead to these ongoing checks for millions upon millions of people. All right, let's talk about this because this is actually very interesting and it's falling perfectly in line with what we've been talking about here on the channel for a couple years now. All right, so ongoing monthly payments, otherwise known as monthly checks, or even possibly a guaranteed basic income program. Now, if you've been listening to the videos here on the channel for any length of time now, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to these programs. In fact, all across the country right now, there are many different types of guaranteed basic income programs. However, the landscape here in the United States, as well as globally right now, is very different than what it was a year ago, even 6 months ago, 2 years ago. Things have changed in a pretty big way here, and I want to talk about the details as far as what people are now saying as far as ongoing monthly checks. So right here, right now in 2022, recession, 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 right? We hear it all the time. In fact, as of recently, I've been talking about it a lot more because it is realistically something that we all need to focus on because it is here and now. It is something that is happening right here in 2022. However, here's what's interesting about it. We're starting to hear all across many different industries, a lot of people being laid off, a lot of people that are cutting jobs, a lot of people that are losing employment right now because of the recession. As a result of that, businesses are cutting back. They're cutting their payrolls and things like that because they need to reserve cash. They need to reserve capital so that they can stay in business going forward. It's an unfortunate situation, but unfortunately, this is something that happens with recessions, is that a lot of things start to contract. Businesses need to start piling up some cash so that they can stay in business going forward into the future. Here's what's interesting about this. With all of this that's going on right now, it's all basically a manufactured recession because of the inflation that's going on right now and the Federal Reserve aggressively raising interest rates. Well, as a result of that, they're contracting the economy pretty rapidly right now. But here's what's interesting and what people are now saying about the current environment and what is actually going on right now and how this actually leads to ongoing monthly checks for the low income. Here's what's happening. Basically, it comes down to this. All of these experts and the analysts, the people that I've been reading about talking about this, are all basically pointing to the exact same thing. When we come out of this recession, it's going to be a very different landscape. Here's why. As businesses start to open back up and as they start to look at their current landscape and what's going on right now, what they're going to find is that, hey, we actually don't need as many people as we once did because of automation, because of robots, because of all kinds of different systems that are being in place right now, because of the internet and things that how systems are actually expanding right now. They're starting to realize that, wait, we actually don't need all of the workforce that we once had. We don't need 100,000 employees, or we don't need 1 million employees, or whatever they decide going forward. So here's what they're finding. is that the workforce coming out of this recession this next time here is going to be much smaller than it was going into it just because of all these reasons. As a result of that, there are many people coming out saying it is absolutely 100% inevitable. In other words, it's going to be happening as far as ongoing monthly checks going out to Americans as in the lower income and those people who are maybe out of work right now, simply because of those simple facts that I laid out just a second ago, which is automation, robots, and much smaller workforces. As a result of that, they continue to say that ongoing monthly checks is virtually the only way out of this next recession. Interesting, right? Well, it's kind of funny because I've actually been talking about this for a couple years here on the channel. I've been saying this for a very long time. It is absolutely 100% going to be happening. Ongoing monthly checks. Well, as I've been saying for the last couple years now, I said I don't know when it's going to happen, but I can almost guarantee you we will be seeing ongoing monthly checks, guaranteed basic income programs across this entire country right here in the United States at some point because of all of these different factors that continue happening. Well, maybe it's going to be the recession that actually spurs all of these ongoing checks. Here's what also is interesting about this, and maybe this was a key indicator that we should have been looking at a little bit more closely that was giving us a glimpse into what was coming. Check it out. So over the last couple years here, since late 2019, when the first guaranteed basic income program was actually implemented in Stockton, California, that was the first one. 2019, Stockton, California was the first guaranteed basic income program, which was sending out ongoing monthly checks. Well, since then, we've seen tons of these programs popping up all across the entire country. In fact, there are programs popping up all over the place right now, many different states, counties, cities, localities, sending out ongoing checks to the low income. They're guaranteed basic income programs, and check it out, they're all pilot programs as well. Very interesting, right? Well, maybe I should have been looking into this a little bit more closely because this is a clue that was on the table right in front of my face this whole time. I guess I didn't even really look into it and actually realize what was actually going on here. Now, also, last year, we did get that proposal out of Ilhan Omar, which is one of the progressive representatives in the House of Representatives. She's one of the Democrats, and she came out with that proposal to send out ongoing monthly checks of $1,200 for anybody earning under $75,000. Well, if you're earning $0 or if you're a fixed income beneficiary or you're low income, guess what? Your income is still below 75 grand a year, right? Therefore, that is what she was indicating in that proposal about a year ago, where they wanted to send out ongoing monthly checks of $1,200. Again, they wanted to implement hundreds of pilot programs, get those in place before they would send out these ongoing checks. Here's what's interesting about it. What it seems to me, and based on what I've been reading about this, all of these programs that have been popping up all across the country and all of these different research studies and everything that we've been seeing writing on about all of these guaranteed basic income programs are essentially telling us the exact same thing. They're all very highly effective programs. They send out ongoing monthly checks for the low income, and they're no strings attached payments. They're very, very effective. They're very, very powerful. They send out those money on a monthly basis, and then you can take the money and spend it on whatever you want. You could save it, you could spend it, you could buy a car, you could buy a dog, you could buy a house plant. It literally doesn't matter what it is. The fact of the matter is it is no strings attached payments, just like what we saw throughout the last 3 stimulus checks. Those 3 stimulus checks that we received from early 2020, late 2020, and early 2021 were all the exact same things. No strings attached payments. We could do anything that we wanted with them. Well, it's kind of interesting because all of these programs, as in the 3 stimulus checks that we received, as well as all of these other guaranteed basic income programs, are literally setting the stage. All of these have almost been like a little taste test, right? Like a beta test when it comes down to setting up monthly ongoing check programs all across the entire country. They're trying it on the city level. They're trying it on the county level. They're trying it on the state level. And guess what? The stimulus checks, they're trying it on a national level. Interesting, right? You can see how all of this is coming together now, and what these people are now saying about ongoing monthly checks being inevitable. In other words, this is the only way to come out of this next recession is by sending out ongoing monthly checks. Here's another reason why. The Federal Reserve right now is raising interest rates so aggressively right now that these experts are saying people are literally in the hole with money every single month. In other words, we don't have the cash. People are going out getting personal loans, getting lines of credit, getting these short-term loans that have huge interest rates on them. People are floating balances on credit cards. They're borrowing money from friends and family. People simply don't have the money right now. Well, what these analysts and experts are actually saying with all of these predictions right now is they're actually saying is that as we come out of this recession and as the Federal Reserve raises interest rates by, half a percentage point, 50 basis points, or 3/4 of a percentage point, 75 basis points, ongoing throughout their many meetings here in 2022, raising interest rates up. Basically, what they're doing is they're pushing people into the point of no return. Essentially, we are in the hole, we don't have enough money, and as they continue to raise interest rates, they're forcing us to dig the holes even deeper because we're borrowing money with very high interest rates on credit cards, personal loans, lines of credit, these short-term loans that have huge interest rates like I just said a second ago. And what they're basically doing is they're forcing us to dig the hole that we're already in deeper and deeper and deeper every single month. So what these people are saying is that it's inevitable. The only way out of this next one is by sending out ongoing checks because that's the only way that people can dig out of these holes that we're being forced to dig right now. I don't know, kind of interesting, right? And how we can see this now is that all of these check programs, like I said, the guaranteed basic income programs on a very small scale all across the country, and then even all the way up to the national level with the stimulus checks, basically setting the stage for exactly what they're predicting here, which is ongoing monthly checks, whether they're distributed on a state-by-state level, which would seem a little bit weird because the need each and every state is a little bit different, or they continue to do something on a nationwide level, just like what we've seen with the stimulus checks, which is one-time checks. But rather than a big one-time lump sum check, they're actually predicting something much smaller, but ongoing, because that's the only way that people can get out of this. I don't know. Some pretty interesting predictions here. And like I've been saying for like 2 years now, I've been saying this for a couple years, it will be inevitable. This is something we're going to see at some point. Well, people that I've been reading about and all of this information I've been reading recently is basically backing up exactly what we've been thinking about for quite a while now, saying exactly that. So it's going to be interesting to watch this whole situation play out with this current recession right here, right now, and see, number one, how deep is it? How bad does it really get? How prolonged is it? That is going to be another factor here. And how kind of widespread does this thing actually go, right? How many industries does this thing take down? What does it do to the stock market, the real estate market? What does it do to the job market? There's going to be a lot of different factors here. We're kind of on the leading end of this thing right now, but according to what they're saying right now, this thing is likely going to be very fast and very swift, just like what we saw in early 2020. Something really fast, very aggressive, and then we need lots of cash to get us out of it. I don't know. It looks a little bit promising from what I can tell you. And from what I'm reading on this, it looks pretty encouraging. So anyway, as I've said before in other videos, as we continue to move forward here with everything going on, the likelihood of ongoing checks or even just a one-time lump sum stimulus check continues to get greater and greater. So with the current environment that we are in right now, the stage is being set and the evidence is piling up greater and greater. I mean, we're building a huge mountain of evidence right now as far as ongoing checks or, like I said, one-time stimulus checks. So anyway, pretty interesting stuff going on. I want to share that with you because I thought it was very fascinating and kind of interesting to see how this whole situation is going to play out. A little bit more time here to see what actually happens going forward is going to kind of indicate further as far as what is actually going to be done to help the people out during this time. So anyway, as I do get more details, of course, I'll be right here for you, breaking it all down and bringing those details in these short videos. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the other thousands of videos right here on the channel. Thanks again for watching. I truly do appreciate it. Until next time, enjoy your day, have a good one, and I'll see you again later in the next video. I'll see